Hello everyone, we're currently in Copenhagen, Denmark for the European SharePoint conference, and we're here on the last day. I got a few minutes with Sam Marshall. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm great, thank you, Vlad.
Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. For those of you that don't know you, who is Sam Marshall? What do you do? Where are you from? And what do you do with ClearBox?
So, yeah, my company is ClearBox Consulting. We're based in the UK, and we specialize in intranet and digital workplace strategy. So we're very much on the people side. We're not like system integrators, but we help organizations figure out what to do with Office 365 in terms of adoption, fitting in with the rest of the digital workplace. And we're also quite well known for doing an annual SharePoint Intranet in a Box report, which has just come out a couple of weeks ago.
I think that's how I actually learned and met you the first time, was about that Intranet in a Box report. It's in what, 4th edition?
4, yeah, we started
edition
in 2015. Yeah.
Just for the fun of it, how many intranets in a box did you have in the first edition?
6.
How many do you have now?
57.
Wow. That's almost times 10.
It's more than double, yes.
Yes, yeah. No, it's almost times 10. Yeah. Did you already start working on the next year's one?
Oh my God.
Or
no.
you're just, after 600 pages, you're taking some time off and like, no more intranets for me?
I've read every 630 pages. I must have read every page about 10 times. So yeah, I'm focusing on marketing and talking to people about the current one, and next year we'll gear up for the 2020 edition. Yeah.
Awesome. So the intranet in a box market, as you said, has expanded like crazy. One of the reasons was that Microsoft SharePoint Classic, I always say back when it was only Classic, we showed people our product, they're like, ooh, it's responsive. It has a mobile app, take my money.
Yeah.
Now with modern SharePoint, all of that comes out of the box. A lot easier to use, it's responsive, that's subjective, it's prettier. Some people find much prettier. Yeah. So how did you see the intranet in a box market adapt? And do you think there is even a space though for the intranet in a box?
I think there's definitely a space, and we should celebrate the fact that Microsoft is offering a much higher starting point, and that's great, because when all of your budget was absorbed just making it responsive and look okay, it didn't leave a lot of slack for doing all the kind of the real value add stuff that businesses were asking for. So that bit is superb. And really, we see a kind of branch point. So some of them are going what we call light and lean. Okay. So like your own product, they are staying very close to what Microsoft are offering and saying, we'll build on top, but we won't offer rival functionality. Whereas there are others that are saying, no, we still want to create something which is maybe a little bit more distant from the Microsoft offering, because our customers are looking for maybe more flexibility. I mean, to keep it responsive, to keep it pretty within the Microsoft guidelines, it can be quite limiting sometimes, when it comes
especially with the new modern development and the cloud, because they can't allow you to do too much dev without slowing down the servers for everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
When you talk to businesses and when you talk to people, what are maybe the 3 main reasons why people look at intranet in a box, and what's making them go from that, hey, I want to go to Microsoft, I cannot do it all with Microsoft, I need to go with a product?
So I always think that the most interesting thing about intranet in a box is that you can go live much more quickly. Because even if you say, yes, we can do it without development on SharePoint, you've also still got a lot of configuration. It's not like you got an empty intranet where you just go in there and say, okay, I'll start typing words and I'll publish it tomorrow. So getting to the point where you're delivering value to the organization maybe 3 months, 6 months quicker, I think should be kind of top of the list.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there are lots of scenarios where the standard SharePoint offering can only go so far. So the biggest gap particularly is multilingual at the moment.
Yes.
You can't, in any realistic way, live with a multilingual intranet just on standard SharePoint.
Not at all.
I also think that Microsoft come with a certain philosophy about how you govern content, which is pretty hands-off. So by default, everyone can create sites everywhere, and they use Delve and some of the clever cognitive services to stitch things together a little bit. But a lot of companies I work with, they still want something which is more like the corporate homepage, which is more curated, where there's only one site for HR stuff and only one site for finance stuff, and not the opportunity to create 17 finance sites if you fancy it, then try and knit them together. So I think the trick with these products is to find one whose product design philosophy aligns with your company philosophy about how you want to manage the intranet. And
you have a session a bit later today, right? What's it called?
So it's called The Future of the Modern Workplace in Office 365. Tiny topic.
Tiny topic, just a tiny topic. And everybody agrees on what the modern workplace is, right?
If you say so, Vlad.
But
You can tell me, I can update the slides.
yeah, sure. I'll give you the definite definition.
Okay.
But is the intranet part of that? Is the intranet still part of the modern workplace? Is it still part of the future?
In practice, yes. I haven't really worked with an organisation of any scale that doesn't see an intranet as being somewhat central to its modern workplace. But I always think we should challenge and say it isn't essential and it's not the same thing. So you could have a modern workplace which is entirely about, say, a mobile app, and it's about doing transactions through something like ServiceNow, and there isn't actually an intranet at the core of it, in theory. I just haven't really seen it in practice, but it's not a necessary element of it.
But the organizations, they still think the classical way, the communications, the HR, marketing, they still want to have their intranet.
I think there'll always be a place where you want reference information, and there'll always be a place where you want news. But I would actually like to see intranets pulling back a little bit from the front and being one source of content, alongside collaboration and notifications and services delivered through lots of different points of consumption. So your intranet homepage might be one point of consumption, but notifications on the lock screen of your phone also might be a very important point of consumption.
Awesome. And some of the trends that you're seeing, that you've seen over the last 4 years, first of all, for next year, and of course, you told me you didn't do any research so far. Do you think the number of intranets you're going to review is going to go up or down?
I think it'll go down.
You think it'll go down?
Yeah, so this year we saw about 4 or 5 products drop out of the market for various reasons. And there are a lot of products that have basically been about branding, been about the look and feel, about the responsive UX. And what's changed in the last year or so is this move to the modern rather than the classic look. I don't need to tell you, it's very expensive. It's very time consuming to go through that update. I'm not sure all of the small vendors will do the analysis and say it's worth spending that money on the update. Maybe we go back to be more services rather than product.
Or integrate another product and use that and use some of the parts from ours and something like that. And how about, there's been a lot of talk recently, and Microsoft launched a business apps partner program, which is Flow, Power BI, Power Apps. And a lot of them, it seems to be, how do we get it back to the intranet? Do you see a lot of trends about people adopting those applications integrated to the intranet, or is still not there yet? It's not mature enough.
So some of it's coming. It's still early days. I think what's great about something like a Power App is that you can develop it and it can appear on a page. So you've got the transaction bit maybe alongside the guidelines. If you want to book vacation, you can see the policy.
I think I know where that idea comes from.
It came from me, but then another company stole it and implemented it.
I created that demo.
But equally, the Power App can then be accessed separately on a mobile device, for example. So it's about that multiple points of delivery that I was talking about earlier.
Awesome.